So far in the plotting package, we put a title in as the plot title. We've added our curves in. We've done some customization in the sense that we have set each of the curve choices up for different colors so that they're easily readable. We've tied the axes together, those with the same units. Our legend has been created, and now we're ready to put in annotations. So what we want to do is we want to highlight key points on the plot. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up an annotation to identify our final gas rate. And you can see here I've already placed my mouse button over this particular button right here, which is our create annotation. So if we left click on create annotation, we're going to want to anchor this arrow to our gas rate. So we highlight our gas rate here. And then under text, we're going to title it final gas rate. And then we click OK, and you can see how that particular arrow is already created for you. A nice new feature in Field Notes version 3 is the ability to drag your arrow to any particular point on this curve. So what we're going to do is we're going to left click on the arrow, and you can see how I can move it around like so, and we're going to position it over what we interpret to be the final gas rate, which I believe is right here. Now what we're going to do is we can right click on this particular annotation box. We can remove the show units button. We can also drag the annotation box out around anywhere we want, and it will continue to remain anchored to that particular point on the curve. The other thing we can do is if we double click on the annotation box, we can increase the size of our font for our annotation title. And the other thing we can do is by right clicking on the annotation box, we can tie other attributes to this particular point. So not only can you determine what the final gas rate is, but we can also provide additional information in terms of what is the oil rate at this particular point, what is the N2 rate at this particular point, what is the tubing pressure at this particular point, and what is the casing pressure at this particular point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing for our oil rate, and we'll just follow the same steps. So again, we click on the create annotation, and we're going to anchor this curve to our oil rate. We're going to type in final oil rate. We're going to click OK. Again, we'll drag it over to where we believe the final oil rate is. So I'm thinking it is probably this particular point right here. Again, we'll take off the show units. We'll increase the font again. And we can tie other attributes to it. So we'll go to our frac N2 rate, tubing, casing, gas rate. And we'll just increase the scaling of the oil rate here. The other thing we can do as well is we can also resize the size of our annotation boxes here. Okay, if you're finding that your annotation boxes are too large and you wish to make them smaller so that they're not covering up too much of the data on the curves, what we can do here as well is, again, if you right-click on anywhere on the plot and you go into Customize Properties, and this time we're going to be looking for annotations. So we see annotations here at the top of the list. We click on Annotations, and you can see how it's already highlighted Final Oil Rate as an annotation. And if you scroll down here, you'll see that there's a scale factor of 100%. So if I wanted to make that box smaller, I just simply type in 75%, and if I click Apply, you'll see how the box has gotten smaller. Let's do the same thing for our gas rate. Again, we right-click, go into Customize Properties, and we'll go into Annotations. And this time we're looking for the final gas rate. There's your final gas rate. Again, we'll make this a little bit smaller at 75%. We click Apply, and you can see how the box has now become smaller. And you can pretty well resize these annotation boxes to your specifications. You can make them 200% of size. You can make them 50% of size. It all comes down to what your personal choice is.